Hi, I'm Tom Field, Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I'm excited for this conversation today. It's about myths and realities for working from anywhere. I'm really pleased to welcome to the studio Aaron Maben. He's Corporate Solutions Engineer for Security with Cradlepoint. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Tom, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm going to do this a little different from a traditional interview. Rather than pose a question to you, I'm going to make a statement, and you will tell me whether that is myth or whether that is reality. And I suppose there are runner-up prizes if we can give away as well. But let's have some fun with this.
Right?
Okay, Aaron, I'm going to make my first statement here, and you tell me whether it's a myth or reality and give me some feedback on it. My statement is, work from anywhere is going to go away after the pandemic. So as a CISO, I can accept some of the security risks from deploying this remote workforce. Myth or reality?
So I would look at this as a myth, because when you're looking at the temporary risk that might have been taken maybe back in April, March of 2020, there was, maybe you've already conducted your annual risk assessment, so that's not going to show up and be something that becomes a big concern. But now that we're seeing this pandemic expand beyond just, through the summer, my kids are starting school now, we're really seeing that it's extending beyond that. But we're also seeing in some of these surveys that are going out and organizations and CISOs that are responding that a quarter of organizations actually expect 20% or more of their workforce to remain remote, even when they're back in the office. Now, 25%, that's not a big deal, but maybe when we look back now to how many are going to have at least 5% or more remaining remote working, that's nearly 75%, 3/4 of an organization's workforce. So that's going to mean that there's efficiencies and scalability that's here to stay because of remote work, but we also need to address the risk surrounding that. So it's not one that can be just accepted temporarily. And I think you're going to find that, CISOs, if they put that into their risk assessment, that goes up to their executive team, to their board, that they're going to start seeing, hey, we need to address this and we need to address it quickly.
Here's my second statement. I've deployed security agents on my corporate-owned devices that are working from home from anywhere, and that's enough to mitigate risk to an acceptable level. Myth or reality?
This one kind of goes between the two, because when we're looking at the risk, it's going to be depending on what amount of risk your organization is willing to accept. So a security agent is certainly a compensating control when we're looking at untrusted networks. So if you've got traveling workforce, your executives, in airports, accessing Wi-Fi, certainly you can't control those networks. However, if you're wanting to mitigate risk to an even more acceptable level, as well as gain some cost efficiencies by adding a controllable network into the mix, even if you're leveraging untrusted networks, it becomes an area where the agent can protect that endpoint, but you want to have that visibility and control of that network, which is something that the work from anywhere solution can provide. The other aspect is we're seeing some trends in the marketplace where non-technical employees, they want to still keep their type of work environment or workflow at home. And so Office in a box is kind of becoming one of those items where you're deploying VoIP phones, you're deploying printers with your employees. And now those are devices that are sitting on that network that can't have a end user agent running on them. So that's where even more critical control of that network and security at that network level comes into play.
Aaron, my next statement. My business took a hit financially, so it's not economical for me to leverage a secure and centrally managed solution when I can use cloud products, other people's networks. Myth or reality?
So this one, again, I'm going to lean more towards myth. If you took a financial hit during the COVID crisis, there are things where we have to look at this from a holistic approach. And that's because we're looking at productivity cost, especially for mission critical employees. And we're looking at the administrative and IT burden that comes with the help desk support and the ability to gain visibility into these untrusted networks. So there are unrealized costs that might not be included in your financial analysis within work from home. And it's actually putting an additional strain and burden on your organization as a whole. We kind of saw this from a Critterpoint perspective with not work from home, but from business continuity. So we would deploy cellular enabled routers into retail or distributed environments, and they would experience and see that when their primary internet went down, they were still able to maintain their business continuity. And it saved, some of these larger organizations that we've deployed into hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from internet outages. So when we're looking at it from that perspective, we need to look at it from a holistic approach and understand the security costs, which we kind of touched on before in regards to the security agents, but then also the management and support cost. How many more inbound calls are you seeing? And these are the things that can be tracked statistically, because you can see how much of a burden this remote work has been for your support department. So then the last one would be that productivity aspect, where you don't have control of a user's home network or untrusted network, and you want to be able to provide that continuity in that connection. Like right now, we're doing a podcast over Zoom, and if my internet went down, I actually have my Critterpoint router set up with a cellular failover that we would actually be able to maintain this conversation.
Oh, that's a great link to the next point I'm going to make here. Aaron, providing my work from anywhere employees a dedicated cellular connection is expensive and it's not scalable. Myth or reality?
That one I can definitely say is a myth, because when we're looking back at the financial aspects of this, you've got major carriers moving to fixed rate data plans. And now you are able to provide a consistent connection to your employees, your mission critical employees. And we're not saying that you need to deploy this solution to every single remote worker that you have, but the ones that, revenue dependent on, ones that are critical and, leaders that need to make decisions and they have to be done in real time. These are the types of individuals that we're saying, hey, let's deploy a resilient, secure solution so that we can maintain our productivity as an organization, or maybe even increase it, because you've got a lot of other benefits that are coming from work from home, like time with family, lack of commute, and just a overall happier workforce despite the pandemic.
Aaron, one more point for you here. My employees are already having technical difficulty without an additional firewall router in the mix. If I add more hardware, I'm going to decrease employee productivity while also increasing the burden on my IT department for management and on my help desk for support. Myth or reality?
That one is also a myth. So we kind of got a theme here with these statements that these are all items, except for ones that are more subjective, that these are really myths that we can overcome with a work from anywhere solution. And really, when you're looking at your workforce moving to work from anywhere, they became security and network admins overnight. And really, by deploying a dedicated device with redundant connectivity and even leveraging some extensibility so that they can actually connect it to their wireless network as another WAN interface. So now you're taking advantage of some of those cost efficiencies. You're not having to pay for data overages if you're not leveraging fixed rate data plans. That now you've got a fully configured solution that your IT department can feel comfortable deploying. It's scalable, so you're not having to worry about everybody's internet service provider at their home or in a cafe or in the airport once travel does open back up. So it comes down to that aspect of this can become very manageable, especially for your non-technical employees. It's going to be a way easier solution to just plug in and go.
So Aaron, we've had some fun with this, talking about myths and realities, but the real reality is you're having these conversations with customers and prospects every day, aren't you?
I am. This is one of those areas where, as a corporate solutions engineer for security, I'm a global resource. And when we start looking at, especially organizations that might be bringing VPN connections back into their corporate network, cloud management and that connectivity and the security around that, especially if you've got devices in the home that could provide network connectivity to other people's devices, your kid's Xbox, your wife's laptop. We want to make sure that we are delivering a secure solution around that and giving the right recommendations for AAA services, for leveraging certificates, individual certificates for VPN, for a lot of these other security considerations, so that we can work and ensure that not only are we mitigating your risk and bringing that risk to a lower and acceptable level, but then that we're also increasing efficiencies and productivities for your remote workforce and your IT and support department. And those are some great conversations that I get to have and bring some good positive solutions to.
Aaron, to sum things up here, how would you say that Cradlepoint is most enabling customers to be able to work from anywhere in this crisis?
When we're looking at how Cradlepoint is most enabling a remote workforce, I would say we are making it better and easier to increase your productivity, to maintain a happier workforce even when the pandemic is gone. And at the end of the day, it all points back to reducing business risk, increasing business flexibility, and those items really contribute to the corporate bottom line.
Aaron, I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks so much for playing along with me today. You're the winner. You get all the points.
Thanks, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
Again, we've been talking about myths and realities of work from anywhere, and I've been speaking with Aaron Maben. He's Corporate Solutions Engineer with Security at Cradlepoint for Information Security Media Group. I'm Tom Field. Thank you so much for watching us here today.